Hi folks, today is our lesson 8, Total Communication, page 21, ok? Comunicação total, lição 8, página 21. In number 1 we have presente simples is equivalent to 4 verbal tenses in English. In letter A, we have the presente simples, Portuguese, is equivalent to 4 verbal tenses in English. Number 1, simple present, okay? Number 2, immediate future, going to plus verb equals gonna. Number 3, simple future. And number 4, present perfect. Okay? In short, when you need to use any of the verbal tenses above, you can replace them by presente simples in Portuguese. Let's go to examples. Okay? Line 1. Eu vou ao cinema. Eu vou ao cinema. I go to the movies. In parentheses, I put there situação, situação habitual. Situação habitual is quite similar to English, but you say habitual instead of habitual. Habitual is the pronunciation in Portuguese. In English is habitual. Okay? You see that? The same word. Situação habitual. Habitual situation. Situação is the same as situation. Both languages come from Latin, so they are equivalent. It's easy to memorize. Eu vou ao cinema. I go to the movies. Habitual situation. Okay. But what is interesting, that for us, the simple present, it doesn't matter when it is habitual or it refers to a time starting in the past, continuing in the present, like the present perfect, okay, or an immediate future. We can use the same way. Pay attention. In line 2, I put there, eu vou ao cinema amanhã. Eu vou ao cinema amanhã. In English, it is I'm going to the movies tomorrow. I'm going to the movies tomorrow. Okay? I'm going to the movies tomorrow. But in Portuguese, literally is I go to the movies tomorrow. I can say I go to the movies. I go to the movies now. I go to the movies tomorrow. I go to the movies tonight. I don't need to say I'm going. It's not necessary. That's why it becomes easier for you to get 4 tenses in just one. That's why I'm saying that simple present will make it easier for you to understand and to use the Portuguese language. That's why it's important to make that verbal correlation to explain what present is in English and what present is in Portuguese. They are not the same. Definitely not, as you can see here. Okay? Then I can also say, for example, in the same sentence, eu vou ao cinema amanhã. Eu vou ao cinema amanhã. I'm going to go, or I'm going to the movies tomorrow. I could put the simple future too. I will go to the movies tomorrow. But you can use the simple present. Eu vou ao cinema amanhã. Interesting, right? Okay, let's go now to line number 3. In line number 3 we have nós vamos lanchar agora. Nós vamos. It means we're going to have lunch now. We're going to have lunch now. Okay? We're going to have lunch now. But in Portuguese, literally is we go to have lunch now. It's not correct in English, but just to show you the way we say, the way we use the verbal tense. So, nós vamos lanchar agora, ok? Nós vamos. It literally is, we go. Lanchar, to have lunch. Now, we go to have lunch now. Literally, this is the way we say. You understand? It's not necessary to say we are going or we will. You simply say go, I go. Ok, that's enough. Interesting. Nós vamos lanchar agora. Right? We're going to have lunch now. Okay? This is line 3. So let's repeat these 3 lines. Just reading. Eu vou ao cinema. I go to the movies. Situação habitual. Situação habitual. Habitual situation. Eu vou ao cinema amanhã. I'm going to the movies tomorrow. Okay? In Portuguese, literally is, I go to the movies tomorrow. Line 3. Nós vamos. We go. Lanchar agora. Lanchar agora means to have lunch now. So we're going to have lunch now. In Portuguese, literally is, we go to have lunch now. Okay? Let's go now for our next page. It's a continuation of this. In next page, in line 4, we have there, eu vou viajar para o Rio na próxima semana. Eu vou viajar para o Rio na próxima semana. Eu vou viajar means I will travel. Or I'm going to travel. I'll put there the simple future. I'll travel to Rio next week. That's it. I'll travel to Rio next week. Or we can say, I'm going to travel to Rio next week. Or I'm going to travel to Rio next week. Okay? But in Portuguese, literally is, I go to travel to Rio next week. Easy, right? Simple present gives the same meaning. Okay? It's future. So I say, I go to travel to Rio next week, instead of saying, I'll travel or I'm going to. That's why Portuguese is very flexible in that conjugation. All right? So, eu vou viajar para o Rio na próxima semana. Próxima is next. Okay? Next. All right. Let's go now to line 5. In line 5 I have here. Pay attention. Eu trabalho aqui. I work here. Situação habitual. Habitual situation. I'm just making a statement. I'm just saying I work here. It's not involving any time. I work here. It's a habitual situation. But now, what is interesting is, eu trabalho aqui há 5 anos. Eu trabalho aqui há 5 anos. In English is, I have worked here for 5 years. I have worked here for 5 years. Okay, but in Portuguese, literally is, I work here for 5 years. You see, it can replace present perfect. I don't need to say I have worked or I have been working, okay? No, it's not necessary. If you simply say, I work here for 1 year, I work there for 5, etc. So it's simple to put the simple present, okay? They're really simple. Okay, so I work here for 5 years. This is not possible in English, but possible in Portuguese. You have to understand, each language is each language. So, eu trabalho aqui há 5 anos. Okay? I can say in Portuguese, I have worked. Eu tenho trabalhado. But this is not necessary. The simple way, the way people use on the street is that. I work here for 5 years. I work here. That's it. You can mention the time or not. It makes no difference. Okay? All right. Let's see now line 7. Line 7. Line 7 we have is a question. Você mora aqui? Você mora aqui? It means, do you live here? Do you live here? Just a question. The guy is trying to get information. Do you live here? Você mora aqui? Você trabalha aqui? Do you work here? Okay? In Portuguese, literally is, you live here? You live here? Okay? You live here? We don't have auxiliary. You simply say, you live here. You don't need to say, live you here. No, no, no. In that order, you live here. When I say a sentence in affirmative statement, I say, you live here. Okay, you live here. But when I make a question, I say, you live here? You live here? Just the intonation changes. You live here? Okay? That's why it's interesting. Huh? Você mora aqui? Você mora aqui? Do you live here? So in Portuguese, literally is, you live here? Let's see line 8, involving time. Há quanto tempo? Há quanto tempo means how long? How long? Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? Then in English is, how long have you lived here? How long have you lived here? Okay, that's okay, but we don't need to use all that structure. We can say the same thing using the simple present. I can say like in Portuguese, literally is, how long you live here? How long you live here? How long you live here? For us, this is enough. We don't need to say how long have you lived. Okay? How long you live here? How long you live here? When I say that, it's the same as your present perfect. You transmit the same idea. Okay? No doubt about it. Okay? So, that's why we're going to practice many conversations, especially in our next lesson. We're going to put in practice all of that. And then you're going to see that a wide range of possibilities will be open up for you in terms of conversation. With just one tense, you can have the idea to use 4 tenses. It's going to be easier. So, há quanto tempo você mora aqui? Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? Tempo. How long, literally is, how long time? Because tempo is time. Well, you just say how long. But literally is, há quanto tempo? How long means há quanto, but you have to put the time. Há quanto tempo? How long time você mora aqui? Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? How long have you lived here? So in Portuguese is, how long you live here? How long you live here? That's the way you say. Another possibility, in line 9. Há quanto tempo você espera por mim? Há quanto tempo você espera por mim? Let's suppose there is somebody waiting for you. Okay? You may be a little late, or the guy may be a little advanced in time. So, há quanto tempo você espera por mim? Okay, in English is, how long have you waited for me? How long have you waited for me? How long have you waited for me? But in Portuguese, we don't need that. We simply say, how long you wait for me? How long you wait for me? You see that? How long you wait for me? Simple like that. How long you wait for me? Instead of, how long have you waited for me? You see? This is interesting, because when something is necessary in one language, maybe not in the other languages. And in Latin languages, the structure are like that. As I said, in French, Italian, Spanish, okay? They practically follow that kind of structure. It's the same. So it's practical in a certain way, because you have just one verb to replace 4 tenses, right? This is interesting. How long have you waited for me? But we say simply in Portuguese, how long you wait for me. How long you wait for me. Literally is this. Há quanto tempo você espera? Espera. To wait. Esperar. How long you wait. How long have you waited? Há quanto tempo você espera por mim? Okay? So in Portuguese, literally is, how long you wait for me. Ok. Em line 10. Por quanto tempo você não pratica português? Por quanto tempo você não pratica português? Por quanto tempo? How long? Haven't you practiced? To practice is praticar. Pratica is to practice. Comes from Latin. How long haven't you practiced Portuguese? Okay? How long haven't you practiced Portuguese? Okay? Well, it's not necessary to say that in Portuguese. You're simply going to say, let's take a look in our next page, in number 10, we're simply going to say, in Portuguese, it's literally is, how long you don't practice Portuguese. We use the simple present in negative, right? Negative, interrogative. Interrogative, negative. How long you don't practice Portuguese? How long you don't practice Portuguese? Okay? That's the easiest way for us to use the simple present. Well, it's easy for us because we can replace all those verbs. But at the same time, I'll have to admit it's a problem for Brazilians or for French, Italians, or Spanish people that want to learn English, because the trend is that they are going to try to use that structure in your language. And then comes the confusion, right? Probably if you have contact with these people, you can say that sometimes it happens, right? They put the wrong verb in the wrong place because they are thinking in the structure of their mother language, okay? So it happens. But as you can see, the present simple they put there in Portuguese is able to replace the 4 verbal tenses mentioned below. I put here, presente simples is not the same as simple present. Because when you translate literally, presente simples, if you go to Google and you put there presente simples, Google will put simple present. But that's not the same. Okay? Apparently, it is the same, but not in its equivalency. It is equivalent to simple present, simple future, going to, gonna, or present perfect, okay? Let's return to the previous page here just to read from number 4 on. Again, those areas in Portuguese, okay? Your lesson for this class will be read that, listen to that, okay? Try to understand that, because we're going to put some dialogues to practice this conversation for our next class, okay? Let's see number 4. Eu vou viajar para o Rio na próxima semana. Eu vou viajar para o Rio na próxima semana. I'll travel to Rio next week. Or we can say, I'm going to travel to Rio next week. In Portuguese, literally is, I go to travel to Rio next week. Line 5. Eu trabalho aqui. I work here. It's the same. Situação, situação habitual. What's the situation? You say, qual é a situação? Qual é? What is a situação? The situation. Situação habitual. Habitual situation. Line 6. Eu trabalho aqui há 5 anos. Eu trabalho aqui há 5 anos. Okay? I have worked here for 5 years. But in Portuguese, literally is, I work here for 5 years. No present perfect. I work here for 5 years. Simply, simple present. So you can do that in Portuguese. Você mora aqui? Você mora aqui? Do you live here? Você mora aqui? In Portuguese, literally is, you live here? You live here? That depends on that intonation. Because if you say, well, you live here, right? You live here. You live here is affirmative. You live here. Well, you live here is interrogative. You don't live here, negative. Você não mora. Você não mora. Okay? You live here? All right. Number 8. Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? How long have you lived here? Há quanto tempo você mora aqui? In Portuguese, literally is, how long you live here? How long you live here? That's enough. Há quanto tempo você espera por mim? Espera is wait. How long have you waited for me? How long have you waited for me? But in Portuguese, you don't need that. You can simply say, how long you wait for me? How long you wait for me? You see that? How long you wait for me? Por quanto tempo você não pratica português? Por quanto tempo você não pratica português? In English, how long haven't you practiced Portuguese? How long haven't you practiced Portuguese? How long haven't you practiced Portuguese? But it's not necessary, okay? You simply say in simple present. In Portuguese, literally is, how long you don't practice Portuguese? You're going to say, how long you don't practice Portuguese? Well, in English, this is completely wrong. But as I said, this is the way we communicate in Portuguese. I'm putting this literally for you to give you the exact idea of the way we make our structures in our sentences. Okay? So, I hope to see you in our next class, right? I would like to ask you to subscribe the channel, okay? If you haven't subscribed, or if you could give your like or dislike, okay? It's up to you. Maybe a like or a dislike. If you like the class, give a like. If you don't like, give a negative or dislike. Okay, I'm going to see you in our next class. Just to study that. In our next class, we're going to make a practical conversation involving all of these sentences. It's going to be interesting. See you then.